Well, okay, this is another one of my about 10-minute long discussions about teaching online in the time of COVID-19, right? I think we have to admit that we're moving more and more towards online classes. I know the campus is hopefully opening up next week, right? And we're all very, very excited about that. But Marcia Dixon and others and the different deans and everybody are encouraging us to make sure that we can also move very smoothly to an online situation if we need to. Many of you know I have tons of experience teaching online, and I really believe in it, and I know it works. But I know it's not meant to replace face-to-face teaching, right? It's more of like an add-on, a sort of an adjunct situation, complementary situation where students that can't be on campus all the time can get still can get a good experience. All right, and it is possible. And so what I want to talk about is this idea of synchronous teaching online versus asynchronous teaching online, okay? And I want to point out that it's not a binary decision. Now, I've taught strictly asynchronous since, I don't know, 2005 maybe. I started off teaching sort of a combination of both, but I moved strictly asynchronous because it was better for my students, all right? I'm rethinking that at this point, and I realize that it's not a binary situation, and I'll get to that, okay? Let me talk briefly. Here's the table of contents for this. Just a quick bit of background, go over the best of both approaches, right? Face-to-face, online, synchronous versus asynchronous. I want to talk a little bit about the worst of each, right? You know, the terrible pitfalls, right? Then I want to talk about the reality that we're actually in. Then I want to suggest a compromise, okay? And then I want to talk very briefly about Google Docs, and I'll summarize. And none of these are ever meant to be technological in nature, okay? They're more, these are more like strategy sessions I'm thinking about having with you, all right? And when you really need the technology help, there's plenty of it, and I'll get to that in a minute. So briefly, the background's pretty clear. Face-to-face classes, of course, have been around forever, right? Aristotle, Socrates, those kind of people. Internet classes began for real at IPFW in about 2002, okay? And I was among the first teaching them online, teaching classes online. And there was a big learning curve, both for the students and both, of course, for the instructors, all right? But we've moved beyond that. Teaching online works, okay? I guarantee you that. It's still difficult to get there, very difficult. Now we're in this COVID-19 situation, and everything's changed, okay? Everything gets thrown out of the window, all right? We have this totally new reality, okay? So the best of each situation. So if you move online, right, say this fall this has to happen, okay, synchronous teaching, right, provides the best degree of connectivity if you're there all the time, and you can create this community of learners and this mentoring kind of situation, all right. Asynchronous meets the needs of non-traditional students who gives them greater flexibility, and it allows them to have some self-paced learning. Now, by that, I don't mean there's still assignments every week, right? You still have to keep the students moving through the course. Okay, that doesn't change. But there is a pretty big difference between synchronous and asynchronous, between face-to-face, between online. Okay, so worst of each situation is, of course, face-to-face. We already know this, with parking problems, scheduling problems. Then, of course, we've got COVID-19. And we don't know yet how that's going to unfold. So this is why it's important to be thinking about these strategies now. Okay, the internet is also far from perfect. All right, I'll be honest. There's a lot of anonymity in it. I hope I said that right. I don't know my students as well, okay? The only students I really get to know by name are those that email me a lot with questions, and I love questions. It shows the students is engaged, okay? So I kind of miss that. When I was a face-to-face class, I knew all my students individually, all right? Then, of course, there's a sense of isolation, not so much on the faculty end, but more so on the student end. Of course, that can be mitigated through good pedagogy, through good techniques online, okay? And then, of course, you have technology problems, all right? Not everybody has good Wi-Fi. Not everybody's good with technology, okay? So you run into that. The reality now, okay, is, and you see it in business, I can tell you this for a fact, I have two sons-in-laws. One lives in France, one lives in Colorado. They both work fully online. One's in data management, and he is a team leader, okay, and he Zooms or whatever they use now in France all around the world with his team, okay? And so this is a new business model. Our son in Denver is in agriculture, all right, in data management for agriculture, AI, and a few things like that, global positioning. And they're no longer meeting in their offices anymore. They still have to do some field work, but they're working from home. They're doing their meeting through Zoom or something like that. And so there's this new world that's developing. It's coming along. And if and when COVID-19 gets over, all right, not everything is going to go back the way it was, all right, because there's some new efficiencies, there's some new things going on, and it doesn't hurt us to help our students kind of becoming aware of that, becoming more adept at that, all right. So once again, you're going to see more and more internet classes, and I'm not here to say that replacing face-to-face classes, okay. And then two, about the internet, students are not going to sit still in front of a computer for an hour-long lecture, okay. So you can't bring all of your techniques from the face-to-face classes into the online classes. Can't be done. They're not going to do that. Okay. I'm hoping you all sit still for 10 minutes, right? I hardly can do that. Okay. So I've rethought this summer, okay, because of all the stress, right? Because of all the uncertainty. I have rethought my own position of not teaching synchronously. Okay, I've rethought that, and I had some consultations with CELT. I took a CELT class this summer, and we talked about having some compromises, and that maybe there is room, right, in a good internet class, right, to have some synchronous activities, all right, and that's not hard to do, particularly with Brightspace, okay. Adam Dirksen has a terrific video on using small group projects, using file lockers, sharing documents, that kind of thing, and that's almost a synchronous situation. All right, because the students are working with each other almost in real time. Maybe not quite, but they're close, okay? Then what I've done is I've decided to find elements or points in my class, in my weekly calendar, where if I stepped into the class, all right, it could maybe make a difference. It could maybe help students with a particular issue. So I teach 2 levels of composition, okay? And what I'm doing is I'm going to meet voluntarily at certain times in the day, and I'll show you in a minute how I've set this up. So I'm going to spend 1 or 2 weeks for each class meeting with groups, small groups of students, okay? I'm going to let them sign up. It's not mandatory. They won't miss anything if they don't come, because these are just brainstorming sessions. I'm not lecturing, right? I'm not talking about actual issues. Instead, I'm helping to brainstorm topics, okay? And I believe in good writing classes, students need to have good topics that they sort of self-discover. So I'm going to spend time in both classes meeting. We're going to use WebEx, all right? So I'm actually going to meet with the students if they want and brainstorm topics. So I've located places within my weekly calendar where this will really work, okay, where I think it can make a big impact on keeping students connected, okay. So I think I'm rambling on a little bit here. I apologize. So what I'm going to do is I'm using something called Google Docs. It's very, very simple, all right? I don't want to spend time here telling you how to set it up, but you need a Gmail account, but the students don't, okay? And the students can sign up in real time for you these, I call them group conferences, all right? And you can see them signing up, or the students, each other can see them signing up. This is a live document through Google, shared only through Brightspace, okay? It's not any place else. It's quite secure. And so what I'm going to do is, let's see, I've set aside 3 times on a Tuesday and 3 times on a Wednesday, okay, where I'll meet with any student that wants to sign up, and they can also just drop in too, all right? And as I said, these aren't mandatory. I'm just going to meet with them and brainstorm topics, brainstorm ideas, brainstorm strategies, and I'm going to see how that goes, all right? And I'm actually quite optimistic. I think more students than I think I'll be pleasantly surprised as to the number of students that do sign up. And once again, those that don't sign up will not be harmed by not signing up, okay? It just means they won't get this extra help. These are not mandatory, and I'm not actually doing any actual teaching at that point. I'm doing more like mentoring, okay? So that's a pretty neat tool, Google Docs. And so what I'm saying is there is a great compromise between synchronous and asynchronous that I've decided to throw myself into because of COVID-19, because I think our students need kind of an extra leg up right now. They need some extra help, okay? So summary, be flexible, think of different approaches, all right? Don't overdo it. Don't feel you have to meet live all the time with your students. I think it's very, very difficult unless you've set up a class with a registrar where the students know ahead of time that this class meets online at a certain time, throughout the week, okay? But if you go from this face-to-face suddenly mid-October to online, okay, I think it's going to be very helpful to be flexible and not to overdo the idea of synchronous teaching, but still to try to do some of it, okay? And then be sure to ask for help. CELT has a tremendous number of resources. I'm meeting shortly with a one-to-one conference with CELT to help me with some Brightspace issues I'm not quite clear on yet. And then, of course, I'll be glad to help you with Google Docs if that would be helpful. wellerw@pfw.edu. So, okay, I hope you found this a little helpful.